So hey all. So I'd like to start out this vlog with mention that things are shaky in a lot of areas right now, and I did not know this a while ago exactly, but as far as I understand it, the Leo Awards are retiring because they said that it was hard to find volunteers. And I know that in general, especially in this current climate of entertainment, it's like even the big fish are feeling the pinch. That with streaming services not proving to be as profitable as they were hoping that they would be, or at least as they initially appeared to be, that content is definitely having to fight to survive nowadays. Whereas in the beginning, when streaming was new, it seemed like it was pretty much a blank check to do whatever you needed to do or whatever you wanted to do. And I know that it's also kind of one of those things that with all the back and forth that's happened with shows getting canceled like Star Trek Prodigy, which did not deserve to be a tax write-off, and Snowpiercer, which just disappeared until it was rescued by AMC this month. So fingers crossed that we'll get the rest of the series on disc. And I really would like to encourage, if anyone from Netflix ever happens to see this, release some of your content on disc. It's one of the things that I've discovered, or at least observed in the streaming era, is that things can come and go without much warning, and then you lose access to being able to see them. So I mean, physical media is something I kind of got away from a little bit when streaming became such a popular option. But at the same time, I really want to encourage physical media, because there's a lot of things that I watch that I want to see whenever I want to see it, and not necessarily have to be, finding out that a really good series that I enjoyed is just gone. So I would encourage you, buy physical media. I know that sometimes, we have limited space on our bookshelves and stuff, but still, it's the important ones you really need to buy physically. Buy DVDs, buy Blu-rays, buy CDs. Still, maybe not to the same level that we used to, but it's important to support artists, especially independent artists, because I know a friend of mine went to TFF to do some Artist Alley stuff, which I was hoping to be able to do this year, but I was not in a position to be able to do that. And he mentioned that he'd only sold a handful of books and that he was not able to get a slot on the second day. So his sales really wouldn't be very significant for this particular convention. And as it's kind of a little discouraging as somebody who was planning to try to do that next year. And one of the reasons I would be going to TFF would be to hopefully you know sell some books. And I don't really have a lot of experience in that area, so I don't really know what I'm doing. So I would kind of really like to be able to figure that out in a relatively stable environment. But I mean, we'll just have to see. First things first, I got stuff I have to do. But just to drive home the message, support support Kickstarters, support your independent artists. Read books from from fandom authors, and just we can definitely all use the support. And I know there's only so much to go around, but just something to think about when you're considering media to consume. It's just um, it really does make a difference when people comment, when people fave, and when people just notice. And hopefully it's one of those things that is just like a rough patch right now, and things will improve. But if you can support artists, I have I've got a bunch of books that I have purchased. One of which I will show off now is The Visitors by Royce Day, which I'm saving for when I have a good opportunity to read it, because I wanted to get this in physical copy, because I like to have all of Royce's stuff in hard copy, just because I just really like having it physical versus having having the digital version. Not to say that the digital version isn't great, but I really wanted a physical copy of this. And it's these days it's one of those things that I buy it digital if it's not super important to me, but if it really is important, I get a physical copy. So you know read into that what you will, and also probably check this out because it's probably a good book. I haven't had a chance to read it to know firsthand, but having read the Red Vixen Adventures, I really enjoyed all six of that, and I really kind of hope that there's more at some point. But that being said, I would also recommend Rafts by Utunu. He is the friend I mentioned earlier at TFF. It's a really good book. He's coming up with a sci-fi novel that I don't really know that much about, but I'm expecting good things because he's one of the people that's on my list of pretty much universal people to watch. And let's see, what else is there? I guess that's about it right now. I mean, it's furry award season. I know that um, like I said, the Leos I think are shutting down. I don't even know if they're operating this year. It's kind of disappointing, at least a little bit, because there were only three furry awards in the first place, and I know it's a very demanding job to be a judge for any of these things, but nevertheless, it's appreciated, and it's definitely one of those things that when there aren't that many opportunities in the first place, every opportunity counts. So support the awards, support the authors, if we can. And I mean, I apologize if this just kind of sounds like just one of those sort of things, but it really is important and it really does matter. And but that's it. Just thank you and just enjoy some independent artists, because it may be there's the more resources you have, the further you can go, and sometimes our greatest resource is the community. Okay, so in writing news, I am working currently on a short story. It is a prequel to a prequel. It is a short story about Autumn Silver, the creator of the train, and it is going to take place about 6 months before the prequel, which takes place right in the 6 years following the disaster that is alluded to in book one. And I decided to do a short story mostly just because I kind of wanted to, I guess, highlight a little bit more of the train's origin. I guess I'm not sure if there was really any particular onus behind the decision to try and work on a short story featuring the character, other than I'd gotten some art of the character, so I finally got to see what you looked like, and it was kind of like, oh, I can build a story around this, which I guess is maybe just a good reason enough as any to have a story. Hopefully, something that I can release on the podcast and get that out there. But after that, I'm probably going to try to see if I can work on another big project. There's a couple that I have technically ready, but I kind of want to try and work on a different concept for a little while. Um, my A lot of my notes were spotty, so I kind of cleared out almost all of them. There was one or two that were completely mapped out, so I decided not to get rid of those just because I wanted to keep them as they are at the moment. And if need be, I can make adjustments when I get back to that point. But I used to have a hard time trying to nail down specific ideas and figure out how to break down stories. And I'm hoping that since it seemed to have worked very well with Winterfall, that the same technique will work with everything else. And maybe it's one of those things that should have been a duh moment or something, but when rather than trying to make going with the inspiration and letting the pieces try and fit together based on changing variables, it's with Winterfall I completed the first, I had the first book mapped out, and then I started working on the plot for the second. And although I did start writing the third book before I started writing the second, the plot was worked out in sequence. Then after 3, when it was supposed to originally be a trilogy, I worked on a prequel idea and a sequel idea, and then we have the shape that we have now. And the short stories are kind of filling in the gaps that cannot be covered by one of the larger pieces. So I'm trying to do that with the other series, with the other ideas that I have. You know, I still want to do at least 2 sequels to Blue Moon. I still want to work on Sunset's Edge. I want to do the shared universe of Iridescence and Journeys, which will be a complex animal. Still don't know exactly what shape that's going to take because the original shape just doesn't fit anymore. So I'm trying to like just start over from zero and see what works. I've also got a character I'm still trying to develop, which is going to have a cybernetic arm, but I haven't exactly figured out how, where, and you know, where she'll fit. Because I know that you know, I haven't even solidified a species yet. Because I was kind of settling on rat, but then I realized I already had 2. And although that's not necessarily a big deal, you know, there are 2 that are, you know, and there's lots of variation that can be done with that. I still need to think about it. But yeah, tossing around different ideas, and that's basically what's going on in the writing field right now. Once I finish the short story, which I am hopefully going to get to at least 7 or 8 thousand words, maybe we'll see. Um, but in video news, as usual, I start with the vlog. I'm probably going to try to do the video plate and finish a couple of videos that I started last week. Maybe the author highlight and maybe the one talking about Joe, and see if I can get those edited and up, and see what else I can produce this week. But probably next week will be some more audio recording. Maybe I'll get some CRVA video work done and get that ball rolling, because that is going to take a while. Um, but that's probably it in terms of video news, but that'll probably be more than enough to fill the next 2.5 hours that I have left to work on such things. Um, Books I'm reading. Let's see, I started the anthology When the World Was Young. I had planned to start it a while ago, but unfortunately I just didn't have the opportunity until now. Um, it's a prehistoric anthology of stories, furry fiction set in the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. And um, you know, it was the you know, I'm interested because it was an idea that came from the Fireplace group, where a bunch of folks that were interested in historical fiction decided to get together and arrange and organize an anthology. And you know, it's one of those areas that doesn't normally catch my attention, because I typically tend to lean towards the fantasy, the sci-fi, where society is either already established or has collapsed spectacularly, and those are usually the ideas that catch my attention. But I do appreciate folks that write in that topic, so we'll see. I mean, I like the first story, first time I've ever read anything from Sakara. So we'll see how everything goes from here. The next one is by Utunu, which apparently won a couple of awards, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Um, let's see. I am hesitant on whether or not I'm going to read the second anthology, just because it's one of, like I said, it's not a topic that draws me in hugely, but you never know. As far as I understand it, it's going to be a lot of the same people that are involved in it, so we'll just have to kind of see. Maybe I'll take a look at it, but one thing at a time. I'm going to get through the When the World Was Young first, and take it from there. I'm still reading Patrick Stewart's memoir. I am about 6 or 7 chapters into it, and so far it's been really interesting. You know, he's a very fascinating man, and I would definitely love the opportunity to meet him at least once in his lifetime. And I'm still reading the Strange New Worlds book, The High Kingdom. So far, I am not entirely sure if this book is my kind of book, if it's in tune with me. Now, I know I've said that before. I know the Discovery book started out different than I expected, and it got better as it went. So I'm hoping that this one is similar. I'm really looking forward to the next Star Trek book in the queue, Firewall, which is a Star Trek Picard book. It's supposed to cover Jerry Ryan and being part of the Fenris Rangers, which is something I really was looking forward to. I was saying from the first season of Picard that that is a book I really wanted to read, and fortunately, somebody eventually decided the same thing and wrote it for us. So I'm looking forward to it. But as far as the High Kingdom, I appreciate that it matches the tone of Strange New Worlds, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm liking the plot yet. I'm about a quarter of the way through the book, so we shall see. But I'll keep reading it. But after I finish, I am not sure exactly. I may jump right into Firewall, or I may jump into one of the other furry books on my queue. Just for the sake of those of you who are curious, my next book after When the World Was Young is going to be Return from Devalia by Kjell Gold. Bought this also a while ago, but I have not yet had a chance to read it. And Kjell Gold is one of those slam dunk authors. It's like you read his books, and they're always good. It's like he's a good writer and really good at furry fiction. He does tend to fall into a couple of similar categories, which is perhaps the author's bent as his privilege to do so. You're the one that writes the books, you get to decide what goes on in them and that sort of thing. But um, and for the most part, though, it's usually well integrated into the plot and it's well written. And although for a while I stopped reading his work just because they all had a couple of similar plot devices, I might still just go back and read some of the rest of his work just because he really is a very talented writer, and I want to acknowledge that. And it's not any kind of prejudicial thing, because it's like I don't have any problem with any particular any a lot of his work had to do with coming out and such things, and I mean, it really just was kind of, at least for a while anyway, I just noticed that all of the books seem to have the same theme. And it's one of my things that I like to try and make most of all of my projects different. I try and do different things. I try and touch on different things, and usually that strikes me as a positive quality for an actor, for an author, for any kind of artistic type. It's like, do different things, show me your range. um, but I mean, I'll admit that was entirely just kind of like a preference thing. But um, I don't know. It's like I said, in hindsight, I might be interested to go read some of the ones that I had passed over at the time, because it's like I only read the first football book, Out of Position, and I might, if somebody suggests I do, might read the rest of them. I know I still have to read a book by Rukis, which is apparently recommended to me, and a couple of others that are sitting in my Amazon queue right now that I still have to check out. And there's a lot that I will be reading and reviewing and so on. I still haven't exactly figured out how to balance the reviews out, because um, let's see. Well, the reviews, it's like I finished the video script and the video long before I ever actually release the video, because I work several months in advance, and then on top of that, there's the Patreon delay. So, video I finished today might not be released for like a year from now. Um, but in any case, I mean, I don't know. It's like I might post the reviews on Goodreads as soon as the review is finished. But we will see. I mean, because odds are I'm never going to remember when the video releases to post the review on Goodreads, and I'm sure people would probably appreciate just whatever I had to say about that. Let's see. Okay, I was going to potentially go to TFF this year. Apparently, it's this weekend as I am recording this. But unfortunately, a lot of things didn't line up. I'm still waiting on the cover for my book. I still have not finished the latest round of editing. I was pretty much done, but I was pointed out a couple of things that I could do to improve it, so I'm working on trying to do that. I don't know if I'll go through the whole book, but I'm going to try and spot check and clean up as much as I can, and hopefully try to get it out by the middle of the year, and then devote all my editing energy to the sequel, which is finished, and it just needs to be, beta read and stuff. And in order to have enough time to do that, I might have to send it out before I have a chance to give it a first editing pass, just because I only time is tight, or it usually seems like it's tighter than I want it to be. But if I had infinite amounts of time, maybe, I don't know. I'm not like I'm not, because I really want to, I really want to make sure that it's suitable. But as far as I understand it, it's pretty, it's usually pretty good. But I'm getting rambly, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But next convention right now, anyway, unless something changes, is Star Trek Las Vegas in August, or STLV, as it's kind of colloquially known, because technically they can't call themselves Star Trek Las Vegas formally, because they're not a Star Trek con. But at least with a writer's strike not being in the way, then we will at the very least be able to talk about Star Trek next year. So, or this year, I should say. But that's it for now, so I will catch you all later.
If you like werewolves, check out my book Blue Moon, available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, click the subscribe button and leave a comment below. See you next time.